Rams House live stream. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you. For all the people who are rewatching this or watching it live, I appreciate all of you for coming in with these streams and just interacting with me, because that's the point of these streams. I love to interact and talk Rams with you, so thank you so much for stopping back in to a brand new Rams House video. And today I'm going to be talking and discussing with you guys about how the Rams will use Desean Jackson, because as we know, months ago the Rams went out and they signed Desean Jackson, and this was a signing that was confused. Like, there were some Rams fans that were confused, and some of them that were all for it, and some of them who thought he was too old, and some who even thought that he will get out of injuries. But today I'm going to be discussing how the LA Rams are going to be using him in their offense, because this offense is going to be dynamic. It's going to have a lot of different packages. It's going to have a lot of different receivers, a lot of different things going on in it, and it's going to be really exciting to watch. So the big question with this is, how will the LA Rams use Desean Jackson? Now, my thought for this is, first, I want to address the injury concerns, that because I've been hearing that a lot, because of he's an older wide receiver and that he is just kind of up there in age, and he's had injury concerns in the past. That's kind of floating around with the LA Rams right now, and so I just want to kind of address those things. The reason that Desean Jackson was getting injured so much, because yeah, some players tend to get injured more than others in the NFL. We see it left and right. There are some players who are more prone to it and some who are not. And in this case, Desean Jackson for sure is, and I can see that side of the argument. But he is a guy who gets injured a lot of the times simply because he's being used as a number one receiver and on teams who are desperate. You look at the teams he was on. He was on the Eagles, who really never were solidified at the wide receiver position. And then you look at a team like the football team, or back then it was the Redskins, but he was on the football team who, again, was not really solidified with that receiver position. A lot of the times they needed a guy to step in and be the number one receiver there, and so that was Desean Jackson's role. And then he went to the Buccaneers, who, yes, now they have all those great receivers, but back then when he was on there, it still did not have that many. They did not have a true number one, and he was a guy who they had plugged in for pretty much the whole game. He was in there almost every snap on offense, and the wear and tear of an NFL game can really get to you, especially when you are injury prone like Desean Jackson is. So I want to lay that foundation for you guys and just kind of let you know that I am not too worried about Desean Jackson's injury concerns. For number one, being that the Rams are not expecting him to be a number one receiver. They are not expecting him to haul and take the whole workload of this wide receiver group, because we have a very deep wide receiver group. If you want me to go through it, we got Robert Woods, we got Cooper Kupp, we got Van Jefferson, we got Tutu Atwell, we have Jacob Harris, who's kind of like a plug-in guy with, and so Van Jefferson, I'm really high on too, with him coming into there. And then Tutu Atwell is a guy who they also drafted with the speed. So, number one, I'm not worried about his injury concerns, because he's not going to be a vital piece to this offense. They're not expecting him to be a vital piece of this offense. He's going to be used in different ways, and in ways he has never been used in his career before. Sure, we could see some plays in there that we really have not seen, and what we have seen in there from years past, but it's going to be a completely different workload than what we are used to seeing. So that's my number one concern, guys. Don't be worried about the injuries. Don't be worried because of all those things that are listed. He's not going to be wanted to be used as a number one receiver, and he's not going to be used as that. And it would really take, like, pretty much our whole wide receiver group to get injured for him to be a number one guy. That's how deep we are at that position. So I want to kind of alleviate some of your guys' concerns about those injuries popping up, because it's going to be a completely different system with him in there. So being that he's on a different team with a deeper wide receiver group, I'm not worried. And if he does go down, hey, we got a guy who he drafted in Tutu Atwell, who I'm very high on, and they want to use, I think, in a similar way, because he's got some of the similar traits. He does not have the same size that Desean Jackson does, but he does have the same speed, and that's really what the Rams were looking for when they drafted him, because this offense wants speed, because we saw what the offense was like with Jared Goff and without the speed included in there. And McVay wants to veer away from that, so we drafted Tutu Atwell, I think, yes, for the future, for sure, and then also kind of like a backup to Desean Jackson because he's not going to be in there all the time. And Tutu Atwell, I think, is going to help He's going to be learning behind a guy like Desean Jackson. So that was a long way of talking about it. About don't be worried about his injury concerns, guys. You should not be worried about it because it's going to be a completely different way that these Rams are looking at attacking in the way they use him. So getting into the video here, first, before I talk about the way they're going to use him, I just want to say hello to some of these people in the comments here. We got Javier, we got Rams1627, Travis Berg Jr., Elmo, De Marshmallow, and Barry Blue. So what's up to you all? Thank you so much for stopping into the stream. I appreciate each and every one of you that comes into these streams. I just wanted to give you guys a quick shout out, watching from Jay in the Bay, Travis, and yeah, I love the positive vibes that you guys are giving off in these streams. I really do appreciate that energy that you guys bring, so thank you. Yo, what's up? You see that vid that was from the practice squad today? Yes, I did. That was just astonishing. Like, at this point, I should not be surprised because it's Cooper Kupp. Like, we should not be surprised at what Cooper Kupp can do. We've seen this many times, but this video hyped me up in so many different ways today. So yeah, I did catch that video. But getting into the video about Desean Jackson and even Tutu Atwell, because I believe, yeah, I put that in the title that I'm going to be talking both about Desean Jackson and about Tutu Atwell and how they're going to be used. So I think that the Rams are going to use him in multiple ways by putting him in different packages. I think that he is going to be used also occasionally on some jet sweeps. We know Robert Woods does that, but, you know, we have Desean Jackson who can bring the speed. I can see that from Tutu Atwell as well. So they're both going to be plug-in guys for certain packages like that where it's a jet sweep or it's a fake, because when you have a guy who's that fast and comes in on that jet sweep, defenses have to be worried, and that's just going to help us in the running game when we fake the jet sweep. So we're going to see him in some of those jet sweeps for sure. And then another way I think I'm going to see it, or we're going to see him, is he's going to be used definitely to stretch the field, because when you got speed like that, why would you not use a guy like that to stretch the field? We saw when the Rams were not having a guy who's truly meant for that and who truly specialized in the speed, the offense did not look very fun. And yeah, that could have been because of Jared Goff being there. It could have not, but I take the side of saying this offense needs speed for multiple reasons. And we saw that when Brandon Cooks was here, that he brought an element where the defenses had to be worried about taking the top off the defense. They had to be worried about the jet sweeps because this guy can just bend around you. That's what we wanted to bring with Desean Jackson. We want to bring that fierceness with being able to run with that speed on certain plays, and so we brought that in, and I think that this is overall a great signing. So getting into what he's going to do, that's just like the baseline. The Rams wanted a guy who can do all those things I mentioned. They needed speed on the offense because we saw what happened when it was not there, and I think they addressed this very well. I think it was very smart for them to get Desean Jackson, and then just in case any injury concerns are like that, as I addressed earlier, you pick up a guy like Tutu Atwell for the future speed, because you are not always going to have those guys in the draft that have that amazing speed that you got. So those are some. I think that the way the Rams attacked this was great, and I think they were going to take Dwayne Eskridge as well, if he was still there, and if the Seahawks didn't pick him the pick before. So they had a plan about this. They wanted to get speed, and if you think about it, there could be some packages for sure where we see Tutu Atwell one side and Desean Jackson on the other, and then Cooper Kupp in the slot. Like, that is not out of the possibilities for sure, and that would be scary. You got to worry about two guys who can take the top off of defense, and when they have the ball in their hands, they can outrun you, and they're also they're very athletic players, so we could see some packages like that as well too. But my main thing that I see from this, and what I could see happening with this combo, and what we're going to be seeing from Desean Jackson and Tutu Atwell, there are going to be plays where they are going to be put in where they can just straight up run up the field, try to beat the guy just with speed. And also route running is important, but there are some guys you can just beat with your speed because the guys who are on them are older and just don't have that speed that they have. So we could definitely see some packages like that where they have that speed in there and they just want them to run up the field on a streak, because Stafford, he can throw bombs. Like, let me tell you, he's got a cannon on his arm. He can throw bombs left and right. So whether they're on the 30-yard line, their own 30-yard line, they send streaks up and they're going down to the end zone. Stafford can hit that. He can throw it far. So I definitely can see those things where it can be used as where they want a touchdown. They're going to be using those streaks going up there. And also things where they get the defense worried because they are acting like they're doing the streaks, get everybody concentrated on that, get the safeties worried about that because they're going to have to be trying to help the cornerbacks out if they get beaten, and then have the guys like Woods or Cup taking it inside like they specialize in, and then do what they do best with the yards after catch. So that's definitely one reason and one thing I could see. What's up, Shot by Nolan? How you doing? Those are definitely some things that I can see us doing with them as well. Tutu Atwell and Desean Jackson, again, they're not going to be asked to be a number 1 or number 2 receiver. We already got our number 1 and number 2 receivers, and I believe Jefferson's the number 3. But I think that they're going to be asked to do a multitude of things that's either a distraction by making the defense, oh shoot, we got Tutu Atwell running up, or Desean Jackson running up, we got to get our safety on him, we got to get all guys on deck there. Okay, well, wait a minute, you just left Robert Woods, or wait a minute, you left Cooper Kupp there. And so that's going to be good because we're going to have a distraction. I also think those jet sweeps, as I mentioned earlier, you know the Rams love to do jet sweeps, but you also know the Rams love to do the fake jet sweeps. This sets up the running game even more. So if we have the jet sweep first off, these guys can fly, as we know it. These guys can take it to the house, even if they're on their own 20. They can do that because their speed and their agility. And I think that that's just such an amazing thing to add to our game because that is what pretty much Sean McVay's playbook runs on. That's like half their plays. They got the jet sweep motions, fake motions coming in almost every single play because it's like eye candy for the defense. They're going to have to be watching those guys. Even if it's a guy like Robert Woods, you got to respect him, and because you got to be making sure this guy does not get the ball in his hands to run. But then, okay, shoot, you were all distracted with that guy, and then there goes Cam Akers. So that's one thing for sure. We're going to definitely see a lot of those fake jet sweeps and those jet sweeps because, and I can see them both splitting that. I can see both Tutu Atwell getting some reps with those fake jet sweeps and those actual jet sweeps because that is what he was brought in to do. That's one of the reasons, because he wants to contribute to this Rams scheme, and what they do, that is what they do. And so we're going to see a lot of that too. I do think that in this first year we're going to see more Desean Jackson doing that jet sweep stuff, the fake ones. And I think Tutu Atwell is going to get more of the actual jet sweeps because we don't want Desean Jackson taking all those big hits off of a jet sweep by a linebacker because we know the injury concerns. We don't want to ask too much of him by putting him in most of the times on that. So although McVay does not like to put rookies in all the time, especially like rookie receivers all the time, I do think he's going to put Atwell in more and most of the time on those jet sweeps because that guy, even though he's smaller, I want you guys to know he gets up after the hit. I'm not worried about those injuries. He's taken plenty of big hits, and that's just not any concerns for me. But I do see that being contributed the jet sweeps and the fake jet sweeps. For sure, I'm going to be expecting to see that a lot because that is how this Rams offense orchestrates. They want you looking at the run game and to set up the pass and vice versa. That's just what they do. And I think that having a guy like Atwell and having a guy like Jackson is going to be really crucial to this playbook. And we could do that with Woods. We could do that with Kupp. But I think having faster guys can help that too because the defense has to be more worried. So we discussed taking the top off the defense, just streaks because Stafford's got the arm. We discussed the jet sweeps for sure. And then I can even see, I know this is not the most flashy play, and we saw probably 70% of this last year, but they could be used on screens. They could be used on the bubble screens, and they could be used on the dump off screens where they're just waiting there because as much as I don't like the screens, I think these are guys who can make it look exciting and make those screens be exciting because they have the speed and you have to be worried about them. We did see actually a lot of plays last year when Goff was in there where there was it was like a fake jet sweep and then a fake screen dump off, and then you got a guy like Woods or Kupp going across the middle. And now with having just Desean Jackson and Tutu Atwell and Robert Woods, you can be distracted by the screen because you don't want them to take off, and then they go up there, and then, there's just so many things you got to be looking at. I think the screen game, although it's not a glamorous thing, although it can be tiring to watch. We're not going to see a ton of it this year, especially when you compare it to last year. But there's going to be definitely a good amount of them in there, I think, with Tutu Atwell and Desean Jackson in there. So those are my main things that I want to say about these guys and what they're going to do. They're not going to be asked to step up a lot because we got the guys who are solidified as the number 1, 2, and 3 receivers, and all the other teams that these guys were on. Tutu Atwell, obviously, he was still in college. He was just drafted, so he was never on any other NFL teams, but drawing from what Jackson was in, he's always called on to be the number 1 receiver. That's not going to happen, which ultimately helps them because when they're not always in, like almost every down like Desean Jackson was, that keeps their legs fresh, and it's like keeping a defense off the field with their good offense, making sure that they're able to rest. They get to be freshened up, and when they come back in, they're at their best. I think the same thing can apply here with Tutu Atwell and Desean Jackson. They don't need to be in all the time. They can be put in, and that makes them all the more dangerous because they're ready, they're fresh, they're ready to run, and that's just going to help their game overall. So I appreciate you guys again for stopping in. I'm not going to end the stream just yet, obviously, but I just want to do another appreciation for you guys. I appreciate all the people that are in. Didn't expect this stream to be a very big one with a ton of people in it, but I just kind of want to, I always love just going live with you guys and just addressing some of these things. So thank you guys for stopping in. Those wide receiver bunch packages are going to be scary. Oh yeah, for sure, Nolan. I completely agree with you because you got so many. I think the really cool thing about this wide receiver group of the Rams is they're all so different. They all play the game just a bit differently. You got Woods, who's versatile. He's great on those slants and the toe drag swags. And then you got Cooper Kupp. He's got the great footwork and he's got amazing hands. Like he can catch the ball like none other. And then you have a guy like Van Jefferson. He's got the quick route, the footwork. He's got all the things working for him, and we're going to see more of him. You got Tutu Atwell and Desean Jackson. Yeah, both those guys got speed for sure. I can see that. But they also are different body types, and one can do more than the other, so that makes them indifferent. And then you got guys like Jacob Harris, who's like almost like Kenny Galladay. I was actually watching in Payo Time stream. Somebody compared him to Kenny Galladay in the fact of the catch radius and the guy and what the guy can do because of his size. He is going to be put in at tight end and receiver. But when you look at all those guys that I just listed off, there's so many different talents. It's going to be torture for a defense to cover them because they all do different things. You're going to have to find the right matchups to stop them. And even when you do that, oh look, you got to stop Cam Akers too. So I think that that's going to be fun to watch. They bring so many different skill traits and skills to this table, and that's just going to help our team and our offense in the long run. So I definitely think those bunch sets are going to be scary, Nolan, for sure. Hey, what's up, Payo Time? Sorry I'm late, just finished. Hope you're doing well, everyone. Oh yeah, thank you so much, Payo Time, for sure. I loved watching your stream too. Everybody who loves the Rams, you should definitely go stop into Payo Time's channel and hit that sub button. I hope he gets to 400 subscribers soon. He's very close, and he's just a cool guy, cool YouTuber. We're definitely going to collaborate soon too. What up? Let's see. Torture is the perfect word for it. Yeah, exactly, Nolan. Because again, there's so many different things you have to be aware of with these receivers, but you also have to know that Sean McVay is an amazing coach, and he draws up plays for specific guys, but he also draws up plays for, like, okay, Stafford, I don't know who's going to get open. There's not really one guy who is going to be the main guy to get open or isolate like we saw a lot last year. There's going to be a multitude guys that could get open. There could be one, there could be three. I don't know, Stafford, you choose. He's putting it in his hands, and I think that's going to be scary too. Kupp and Stafford is making chemistry and is going to be a dangerous threat. Yeah, for sure. Like, for any of you guys who saw that catch and that throw from Stafford to Kupp where he just kind of mossed David Long with that one-hand catch in the back of the end zone, got 2 feet in. I've definitely seen that chemistry develop with Stafford and Cooper Kupp. It's been really fun to watch. I think they're getting a lot of reps in. Same for Woods too, but I think Kupp and Stafford are just going to be so dynamic together. They're going to be a tough threat to stop. And then, oh no, you got some other guys to look out for too. So they're definitely getting some good chemistry. No cap only vibes. I'm making my own Rams channel, also inspired from this guy. Oh yeah, for sure, man. I'll definitely drop a sub to your channel. Just let me know what it's called, because I definitely want. I love all these creators making Rams channels across, because we need as many as we can get. We're a big family, especially on a YouTube channel. It's fun to support everybody and see all their different views on this, because it's really fun just to see all these different takes. That's right, Nolan. 9 to 10. Cup and staff are insane. Yeah, and just think of it when we actually get into the season. We're gonna be even more hyped. Like, the fact we are hyped in OTAs, in like the third week of OTAs, it's saying something. This team's gonna be special, I think. I'm a Seahawks fan, but I respect the Rams. Oh yeah, thanks for stopping in. I welcome any NFL fans, even the divisional guys. I welcome anybody, and thank you so much for stopping in for sure. I respect your Seahawks too. I'm I can't say I'm glad that Russell Wilson stayed. I was hoping he would leave, but I'm glad for you. Let me just say that. So I'd love to watch these Seahawks games, these rivalries, and if anybody wants to ask questions, this is kind of the point. I already addressed all the things about Desean Jackson and Tutu Atwell. You guys can drop questions, because I just love to interact with you guys, and it's so much more fun than just talking in the comments with you guys, because I can just like be not really talking face to face, but I can be answering you guys almost like in person. Payo Time says little OTAs have never been so hype. Exactly, Payo Time. You're catching the vibe I got. I don't know. I don't know. This season just seems like it's got such an energy and such a hype to it that OTAs are so special. And again, that's saying something about it. And if we go to the championship round and we lose that, I think that's going to be a disappointment because of how good this team is. But at the same time, that's just going to be a crazy thing to do, and that'll be a good sign, because that means that the Rams are already going in a good direction. They already got their first year with Stafford under their belt to the championship game, and I think it's just going to be really fun to watch with Stafford. And I think Stafford's going to be around. This could be a hot take, but I think he's going to be around for like another 6 or 7 years with the Rams. You look at how long Breeze and how long Rodgers and how long Brady plays. I mean, I think he's going to be in the horns for a while. I'll be on this account for now. Oh yeah, the Horn Headlines. I did subscribe to you. Do you play football, Anthony Hayes? Yes, I do. I'm not like a part of a team, because there's so many different people in my family. Taking people back and forth and going to practices back and forth, it just won't work. So we don't really play for a team, but we love to throw the ball around and do routes in the street all day. That's what I was just doing earlier today. So definitely, I love to play football. I just love anything football for sure, but I'm not like on an organized team, because there's just so many people who want to do that in our family, and you can't even like do that with all the guys that we got in our family, because you would have to be going back and forth left and right. So yeah, I for sure play football. Thank you for that question. Bro, I went to SoFi yesterday for a tour, and it was incredible. Man, that's just taunting me. That hurts. No. I don't. Thank you for telling me that. We're in Headlines. I can tell that it's an amazing place. I would love to go there. I still have not gone there. I don't know if that I'm going this season, because I'm not sure what the ticket prices are, but I know they're kind of expensive. I would really want to go there. I've never been to a Rams game. My first Rams game I'm going to is a Rams versus Broncos last preseason game, because I live here in Colorado, so that's going to be a close one. That'll be my first Rams game, but I would definitely want my second Rams game to be at their stadium, at SoFi Stadium, but I don't know what it costs yet. I don't know if any of you know what it costs, even to go out the farthest row back. There's not a bad seat in the house. That's what they advertise all the time, the Oculus. I'm sure it's crazy to see that place in person, because I see the pictures and everything, but everybody always says you got to go there in person. Like, it's completely different. So I'd love to go there too. Yeah, maybe when you get your license, you can try it. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. No, you're good. Horn Headlines. I'm just teasing with you. It's crazy. I'm glad that you got the chance to go. Were you impressed by the Oculus and like just how big that place is? Because I can't imagine how big it actually looks in person, like from the outside and in the inside. I can't imagine. What's your prediction for the Rams versus the NFC West this year? That's a solid question, Payo Time. Thank you. So, I think we have the capability to sweep the Cardinals for sure, because they're coaching. They got amazing players. It's going to be hard to gauge where they're at, because I know that last year they started off hot, and then the rest of the year they're kind of free falling, And at the start of the year, for like the first 6 games, they were looking as hot as any team could be. And then the rest of after that Hail Murray, they kind of went downhill. So if they can stay consistent, I say we split with them. And if what happened last year, I think we can definitely sweep them. Just because of the coaching, I think if they had a coach like Andy Reid or somebody like that, or even Sean McVay, they'd be a lot better and they would be going deep into the playoffs because that roster is good, but it's just the coaching I'm worried about for them. So I say we could definitely take both of those games, but if they're hot the whole season, if they're consistent like they should be, I say we split with them. Going on to the Seahawks, I think it's so weird. I think we could. I don't know if many people will agree with me, and I know we got a Seahawks fan in here, but I think we could definitely sweep the Seahawks because I don't see how this team got a whole lot better in the offseason. From what I looked at, they didn't improve a lot of their needs. Like, they addressed wide receiver with their first pick. And you could say the same about the Rams, but I feel like the Seahawks aren't a complete team for sure. And the Rams seem to have their number, whether it's their defense or not. It seems like they have their number. And the game we lost to them last year, the only game we lost to them was when Goff was in his funk, like overthrowing a guy who was 4 yards away from him, and it went over. He intercepted the ball. That was unacceptable, and that was Goff at his worst. And that was kind of on his decline before his finger broke, or his thumb broke. Got mad respect for him for playing through it for sure. But yeah, I think we could definitely sweep the Seahawks, and I think we split the Niners because the Niners beat us with Nick Mullins. You can blame it on Goff, you can blame it on whatever, but we lost to the 49ers with their practice squad pretty much. And we lost to them at our own place. I think that's largely in part due because of their coaching staff. And yeah, they lost Robert Saleh, who was their defensive coordinator, amazing leader. He was tough to play against every time because he seemed to scheme up very well against us. So I'm glad he left. But that coaching staff, Kyle Shanahan, he seems to have McVay's number, so I say we split with them. So to recap, I think we could split the Cardinals if they do the same thing as last year where they start off hot and then they go downhill. We could sweep them with that, but if they stay consistent, if they're a legitimate threat for the number 1 seed, I say we split with them for sure. And then I say with the Seahawks, we could definitely sweep them because I don't see how they got better all the way throughout this offseason. And then we split with the Niners because that coaching staff is amazing, and I think that they gotta at least win one. But we gotta at least win one too, guys. We can't get swept every year by the 49ers. We can't get swept by our practice squad 49ers team, so we split with them just because of that. So I love that question, Payo Time, and I'm very behind on these comments. Sorry about that. Am I the only one who doesn't want KJ Wright? I think we don't need him. I don't think you're the only one. I mean, I think that KJ Wright, in my sense, I want him because he provides, like, I wouldn't be bummed if we didn't get him, but he provides a leadership to that group who's very young right now, and I think that leadership could be very vital to this team for sure. And then I think also what he could bring, he brings that physicality, and he was on the Legion of Boom, and I know that from watching Rams games, he brings the big hits, he goes aggressive, and having Ramsey and then having Ernest Jones, who is a big hitter too, if you guys don't know, and then having KJ Wright, that would be scary. And we could have a ton of turnover chances with the balls being knocked out like a hit stick in Madden. And so I think that's what he provides to this team. But again, I would want a 1-year deal. I would want it to be kind of cheap. And if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to be bummed. So I don't think you're the only guy who doesn't want him. We don't really need him necessarily, but I think he would really help our linebackers progress because he brings that veteran presence as well. Yeah, that's right, Nolan. I don't mind if a vet for the low, but I don't know if the Rams are interested. Yeah, I completely agree. I don't see much interest from the Rams right now. They haven't said anything. They haven't hinted. There hasn't been any articles saying that the Rams are going to look into this at all. So, not sure if it's going to happen. It was just kind of a rumor that ESPN threw out there. And the weather is really nice. It's not hot or at all. Even like the 90-degree weather and the wind flowing through the stadium is super nice. Oh yeah, I can see that because they built the roof that way at SoFi Stadium where it kind of filters it. And I think that was a smart idea to have the wind to be able to blow through. I think that was smart. Let's see. I'm glad they lost. Solid credit where credit is due. He was an amazing defensive coordinator. For sure, Horn Headlines. I think that's what we all think. Whether we like it or not, the 49ers had an amazing coaching staff. And I'm always glad if they lose one player. And I don't want to hurt Jay and the Bay's feelings there. But I'm always glad when they lose a guy like that because they produce amazing coaches. And Saleh was for sure one of those guys too. Man, these comments are going so fast, it's hard to keep up with them. What game next season do you think will be the Rams' biggest win of the season? That's a good question, Payo Time. I'm just trying to figure out what you mean by, like, the biggest win, like, the most exciting one. I'm not sure what you mean by that. But if you're saying, like, the most thrilling and... yeah, it's kind of hard to tell what your question is, but I think it could definitely be the 49ers because we haven't really beaten them in so long, and I think that would be so fun just to beat them. I think beating the Ravens would be fun because they're a tough team, and beating the Buccaneers, I think if we, like, blow them out, that would be really fun. I'm excited for every game. I think, again, I would want clarification on the biggest win because I'm not sure what you mean by that, but, oh, that's what you mean. You mean blowout. Okay, let me think. I think it's either Texans or Jaguars for sure, but I think Texans are the front runner because I don't think Watson's going to be playing for them. So I get your vibe now. That's the biggest question mark about the Niners defense without Saleh. Yeah, I think we're going to see how they're able to improve or adjust to what happened with him leaving because that is a big loss, and we lost Staley too, but I'm very confident. I'm not sure who the Niners picked up, but I think they have some good studs on that defense, like Fred Warner, like Nick Bosa, who is going to really help. I don't know if you saw, but I think the Rams stepped back on the Julio Jones trade. Bummer. Oh yeah, I don't think it's a bummer for me because I never really wanted him in the first place because our receiver group was so stacked, and I think we have all the pieces. I don't want to give up any more draft picks for a guy who's not really a need for us. Like, I don't think he's a need. He's a luxury for sure. That's what I keep saying. I think Julio is a luxury at this point for the Rams, and the Rams did pull out of that, so I was happy to see that. My only concern is if those sneaky Niners or the sneaky 49ers are going to pick him up, or the Cardinals, but I don't see the Cardinals picking him up with their receiving core that they got. What do you think of McVay and Peter Schrager podcast? I love it, man. Like, I love to find anywhere I can find interviews or Rams podcasts, Rams YouTubers. I've watched all of them. I soak up all that information, whether I'm doing work or whether I'm doing whatever. I find whatever I can listen to, and I think those guys are entertaining. I think it's cool to see McVay without having to be pressured to answer questions about the NFL, just going back telling stories. And I can tell they got a real chemistry from being friends for a while, so I enjoy that. I listen to every episode. Not sure if they posted another one. I've only listened to the first one because I didn't know when they released the second one, but I'm a huge fan of that McVay podcast with Peter Schrager. Yeah, I think when you run Lamar on the same play the entire season, you figure out the way to stop him. Oh yeah, and for sure, I think this defense can stop him. It's just something that hasn't gotten out of my memory, that's ingrained in my memory, is that loss to them where we just couldn't do anything. Like, that's still in my mind, so I want to see the Rams prove they can beat them. I think the Rams offense can play just as many points as the Ravens put up. But I do have to point out the Ravens weren't as stunning last year because I think a lot of teams figured out how to stop them. You can only keep 2 of our wide receivers. I go Van and Cup. Let's see. Yeah, Atlanta wanted to pick and key a player. Wow, I couldn't read that. Sorry about that, Nolan. I just went up way too fast. I couldn't read it. I would have been really sad if we gave up Woods or Cup. I'm right with you on headlines for sure. I love Woods and Cup. I like Woods because I got that Woods picture right there. I got a Woods jersey. I got just so much Woods stuff. I would have been sad too. Let's see. Who will the defensive calls on the field? Is that where KJ Wright would come in? Who will do the defensive calls on the field? Okay, I think honestly it's Ernest Jones. I think that's what they've been saying when those draft videos the Rams were putting out of inside the draft. They're talking about his leadership, and his ability to grab the eyes and the ears of everybody in that group, get their attention, be a leader, I think it's going to be Ernest Jones. And that's funny because he's a rookie, but KJ Wright would, if we brought him in, as I mentioned earlier, it would be for, I think, helping coach up the younger guys, helping him to progress because he's a veteran, and for bigger hits. And for now, he could fill in for some different spots at linebacker to help us, but I think it's really about progression. He would only be here for about a year, and he would help. He's a veteran presence, but also he knows the Seahawks, and he would help us beat the Seahawks too. So great question. Yeah, Peo time. I completely agree. I'm glad the trade didn't happen with Julio. I'm in the same boat, and I think you and I were the. Actually, I put up a poll about would you want to trade for Julio Jones, and it was almost 50-50, and it was like 300 votes, 50-50. So I think a lot of Rams fans were split. Yeah, he's a luxury, but I don't want to give up too much for a guy who we don't need. So I completely agree with you, Peo time. Okay, thank you, Shot by Nolan. Their podcast drops every Wednesday, so that should mean they have another episode out I can listen to. That's great. I love to find random stuff to listen to and soak up. I can see Desean and Tutu alternating running deep routes in almost every play to keep the safeties deep and honest. Yeah, that's what I said. I see them in jet sweeps for sure. The jet sweep fakes, as I mentioned earlier. I see them being a distraction for acting like they're going to go deep or actually going deep, and then having guys like Woods or Cup coming inside or doing slants or in routes or out routes, kind of what they specialize in. And then, so they're going to be a distraction for teams to be looking and get worried about. Stafford could throw the deep ball because he can throw pretty much wherever and be pinpoint accuracy. Or he could also, he could just throw it to the out route or the underneath route or whatever. So, I can see a bunch of different ways that they use Tutu and Desean, but it's definitely not going to be number one, number two receivers. They're going to be putting in alternating, but I do expect some packages to have both of them in there. I think that's a very McVay thing to do, put two fast guys in there to help us score more points. And I think that would be scary, having two fast guys and then inserting in a guy in the slot like Woods or Cup. That's just, I don't see how anybody can stop it. Or even having them as decoys so that Akers can run more. There's just so many different things I can see happening here. The reason I think the Rams are smarter than the NFL is that they go for proven talent over projected talent, which is smart because we save money and also can put together an all-star team. Yeah, I completely agree with you, besides the saving money part, because the Rams don't care about the salary cap at all. I think we've learned that they don't care if they're over it, and they don't care if it affects them negatively in any way, but I do think they're smarter than the rest of the NFL, because with the drafts, you never know what you can get out of a player. You can project what they can get, but when you see a guy who's proven like Jalen Ramsey or like Matthew Stafford, and then you know you can trade for them because they've been proving it in the NFL, so completely agree with what you say there. Man, the Monday Night Football game against Baltimore was difficult to watch, but they can redeem themselves this go-around. Oh, completely agree with you, Nolan. I did not like that. I did not like the Ravens game. I think as soon as the Ravens put up 21-0, I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to waste my time. I'm usually a loyal fan who watches through those games, but that one I could tell it was when the league did not know how to stop Lamar Jackson in the least bit. So I knew that we were done. We were screwed. So that game was tough, but I agree with you as well. We're going to get over them this time. Let's see. The Rams are the favorite to get the Super Bowl and have the youngest roster. These are good days for the Rams fans, for sure, especially when you compare it to the dark St. Louis days. Not sure how many of you guys were fans through that, but I know that I was. It was difficult, but it's definitely worth it staying a fan. Rams fan for life, for sure. And when I saw that the Rams had the youngest roster, I was like, really? We have some veterans on the team, like AD, like Stafford, like Jalen Ramsey, Ramsey's not really old, and then Woods was kind of getting up there too. I was surprised when I saw we had the youngest roster, but I was like, hey, I'll take it. We're going to be better in the long run. Let's see. I think you got the question on defensive call right. Thank you. Okay, yeah, no problem. Thoughts on Julio Jones trade rumors? So yeah, I can tell you're a Seahawks fan because your profile picture. My hope is he doesn't go to the the Seahawks or the 49ers, because those are just the sneaky teams who I think can pull off that trade. I think if you have a guy like DK and Julio, I'm sorry to say this because I know you're a Seahawks fan who asked this question, it's going to help DK out a lot because Ramsey would have to cover mainly Julio because Julio's so elite, and then that would help DK a lot because DK is bigger than Darius Williams, who I assume they would put on him because he's the second best guy to cover, and that would help out DK. Because again, I'm sorry, I know you're a Seahawks fan, but I have to say Jalen kind of shut DK down just a bit. But there were some plays where DK definitely beat him, but I just don't think Russ wanted to take a shot at him. So just don't go to the NFC West. That's my main point. The Rams are out of the chase. I'm happy about that. So I just hope he doesn't go to one of these NFC West teams. True Rams house, I put saving money and thinking like signing rookies that end up being busts or wasting a contract. Oh yeah, I see what you mean, Hornet Lions. Excited to see the speed to stretch the field. Me too. We missed the speed without Brandon Cooks. I think we didn't expect. I don't think the Reds expected to miss the speed that much when we got rid of Brandon Cooks. And then they learned that they got the speed back with getting two guys, count them two. And I'm excited to see the speed back in there. And I think McVay is ready to see more speed in this offense. Hit that like button, guys, for sure. We are at 22 likes right now, so thank you to all who have done that. This helps. The like button just helps push it out to more people, and it lets me know that you guys like this. So don't really want to beg for likes, but if you could, I'd appreciate it. Let's see. I had season tickets the last 2 years in LA before St. Louis, and I don't think they won one home game of those last 2 years. Plenty of dark days, but good now. Oh, Johnny, I'm glad that you are still with the Rams. There's so many guys who have just joined the Rams team, the Rams squad, and who are almost bandwagon teams. I've saw plenty of that when we went on a Super Bowl run, and after that, plenty of them left. So I'm glad you stayed through those days. Sorry that you might have thought you wasted your money, but I can tell you, if you're a season ticket holder this year, you will not be disappointed. The Horn headlines, I can't forget the Fisher era. I don't think anybody can. Anyone going to the Rams versus Titans game? That would be a sick one to go to, but isn't it in Tennessee? I believe it is. Payout time, I don't know if you're going to go there because I know it's close to where you live because you live in Canada. I think that maybe payout time, I'm not going to speak for him, but that's close to where he is. I know that I'm not because it's kind of far away from where I live, but who knows, there may be a few people from here that would go there, and I would love to link up with you guys at SoFi Stadium or wherever the Rams play. But again, I will be, as this is not exciting, and I feel like a lot of you guys won't be there. Again, I'll be at the preseason game against the Broncos, the last one the Rams play. I'll be watching the Wolf of Ball Street play. What do you think will be our biggest weakness on the defensive side of the football? We haven't had a solid linebacker since Laurinaitis. Well, yeah, I think that and Corey Littleton for sure. The weakest spot for me, I do agree with you as linebacker, but it's not to say that I don't have faith in them. It's just when you look at the group as a whole, I think our defensive line is really, really solid. With anytime you have just Aaron Donald on there, if he just played, he could get through all the blockers. So I think that having him on there is helpful. I think Sebastian Joseph Day is good. That line is solid. Cornerback group is amazing. Having Ramsey and Williams. And then I think Robert Rochelle will take over that third spot over David Long. And so that spot's solid. The safeties, we got so much depth there. I'm looking forward to see Fuller, Burgess, and Rapp there. And so, yeah, I would agree with you with linebacker spot, but not because I don't have faith or that I don't think they're going to do enough to produce well for us. But I do think that the linebacker, when you compare him to all those other talents that we know for sure, we know are locked down, we know are great, I think that it's definitely the linebacker. So I agree with you, but I think that we're going to see a step up, and I think Ernest Jones is going to be great with us. But losing Joe Barry may hurt, but again, when you have so much talent around, the linebackers won't be seen as much of a low spot at yes, because you got other guys taking care of the stuff. They'll be taking the spotlight. They'll be taking a lot of pressure off of them. Let's see. Can't wait for the season. Stafford about to be doing something different. I agree with you completely. I'm so hyped for Stafford. Again, when you're hyped in OTAs, you know that your team's good, and you know that it's a good time to be a fan of whatever team you're going for. And that's what I think too. I remember seeing Monday Night Football tickets for $5 in St. Louis. Oh my gosh. If I saw that, if I had used to live in St. Louis, I would have gone there. I don't think the thought never crossed my mind, I guess, because I was really, really young. But man, $5, that's crazy. And you may be being sarcastic, but they must have been cheap. Let's see. I went to get tickets to the Rams and Lions game, but tickets are kind of expensive to be honest. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think especially tickets at SoFi Stadium, those things are going to be expensive. If you want to support your team, for sure, go and get them. If I had a choice to pick any Rams game at their home stadium to go to, I'd agree with you. I'd go to the Lions one because there's just some Rams players, Rams coaches linking back up. I think that would be a fun one to watch. I'm in LA, but I'm moving to North Carolina, so I'm gonna go to one SoFi game against the Bucks, an away game on the East Coast, maybe the Titans game. It's only a 2-hour flight. Oh, that sounds good. Horn headlines. I hope that the move goes well. And yeah, I think the Bucks game would be fun to go to. Also, it will be Tom Brady's first time playing in LA, which is kind of crazy for how long he played. His first time playing in LA. Bring on the Rams. Let's beat him. First game in LA. Let's make him 0-1 in LA for sure. Because we beat him last year in their place. So, let's see. I go to SoFi my last day of school, which is June 10th. Oh, nice. I think Morris coaching will boost up the linebacking core. Oh, yeah, for sure. And again, when you have guys who are talented and who are household names around the defense, it's going to take some pressure off. And while they're still adjusting and getting ready and getting used to what it's like to play at NFL speed, and just getting better overall at the linebacking core, I think that's going to help too. But I agree with you. Morris is going to help a lot too. I got season tickets, thanks. Or tickets. Won't be missing any games. Oh, that's like heaven for me, man. I would love to go and have all the Rams games. Shot by Nolan. I joined Warner's channel. Thanks, Peo. Oh yeah, so it's a lot of you engaging with yourselves in there. I always love to see that, you guys getting along in the comments. I legit saw them for $5. They had a hard selling out there in the final days of St. Louis. Yeah, that's funny that they're only worth that, because I've seen tickets now worth like $1,000, and like Super Bowl tickets, those things are expensive. But I can tell you that the ticket price is definitely raised up. But that's crazy, like $5 for an NFL ticket. That's just insane. The way players change teams these days need to keep developing young talent, for sure. Thanks, Rams House. I have to rep our Rams in the East. Yeah, for sure. Horn headlines. POI will definitely be going. Oh, yeah. So you're just interacting again. I would hope to have. Man, these things keep on going. I'd hope to have season tickets. Me too, Jared. I'm right with you. I'd love to have season tickets. It's got to be expensive, but I love those to see. Obviously, I've never been a season ticket member, but I love to see what the Rams season ticket gifts are for the fans. Like last year was that SoFi Stadium box with like a piece of dirt, I think it was, from the stadium site. I always love to see what they reward their season ticket members with. Are you going to live stream any games? Definitely not. But that would be a good idea. But I just know that when I'm watching, I'm locked in. Like, I don't want to really be talking, like, no offense to you guys, but I don't want to be talking to you guys because I'm like locked in, I'm focused. It's just, that's the only thing I'm thinking about. So I don't think I'm going to be streaming any games, but I do like to watch like my family, or even if it's just myself, I'm just locked in the game. Yeah, I remember Luke Paisley Smith. I think you're an Eagles fan, right? I couldn't afford season tickets, so I just bought the season ticket gift box for SoFi Stadium on eBay. Well, that's hilarious. I was a fan of you when you did those mini board game football. Yeah, the channel used to be so different, and then I was like, hey, I love the Rams. Why don't I make it about the Rams? I'm going to the Rams and Lions game. I'd love to go with that one too, and if I did go to that one, I'd love to see a bunch of you there, because I'm sure a lot of you want to go see that Rams-Lions game. Not sure if it's going to be one of those weird scoring games, but I think it's going to be fun. And, like, no offense to anybody who loves Goff or anything like that, but for me, I think it's going to be fun to see Aaron Donald sacking Goff for the first time, because we're definitely going to see at least one of those, because it's Donald. Like, can't play around with Donald. And it sometimes seems like Goff just walks into a Donald sack. Yeah, $5. I didn't expect it to be that. Since you are a St. Louis fan, do you think Sam Bradford could be better than Goff without the injuries, because he was a beast? Yeah, I think it's tough to compare because they were in two different types of offenses, and Bradford ran in a different one in the Fisher era, so I can't really compare them. But they definitely were kind of similar in the way they played. But again, it's unfair to make a comparison because they were in different schemes, and so it was a completely different team. So I'm not sure how to answer that. predictions on the record. Good question, Jay. I think we're either going to be 13-4. That just sounds so bad. I wish it was 12-4 still. 13-4 or 14-3, and I think the best we could definitely do is a 15-2. Like, that's how confident I am in the Rams this year. I'm excited for this season, and I think that's just a legitimate thing. I think we could definitely get that. Where is Julio Jones going to? Obviously, we don't know this yet. I do think the top teams are, as mentioned before, with the Chargers. I think the Patriots got a shot at him. 49ers could, unfortunately, have a shot at him. But I do put the Patriots and the Chargers at the top of my board to getting him. Good stream, bro. Rams got underrated receivers in the league coming from a Niners fan. Oh, thank you so much, CG Ruthless Sports. I really appreciate you stopping in. Every fan's welcome. I don't care if there's NFC West people coming in here. I love to see different perspectives that you guys got, because obviously we Rams fans probably are biased on a lot of things, but it's cool to hear that you see our receivers are good. I think you guys got some good ones too. And man, thank you again for stopping in to this stream, because again, other fans are always welcome. I always appreciate you guys stopping in, and I do think myself, I don't think this is bias, I do think myself that the Rams got an underrated receiving group, and they're really going to be known this year with Stafford at the helm. Like, I truly believe that. I feel you, Rams House. I'll put the phone on Do Not Disturb during the game. Yeah, exactly. It's like you're locked in, you're in your zone. I feel you for sure, Nolan. Mr. Happy, you say 15-2. Yeah, I think that's like our ceiling right now. 16-1 would be crazy, but I do think these NFC West teams we could split with like the 49ers. I definitely think we could split with, because they just have our number and they're great. And then I definitely think we could lose to a team like the Ravens or something like that. But I definitely think 15-2 is about our ceiling. Let's see, 17-0. Let's go. Yeah, I'm all for 17-0. But being realistic right now, I definitely think we could go 17-0, but I think it's about 14-3 or 15-2. When Sam was healthy, there were a lot of drops by the receivers. Yeah, for sure. And again, it was in the Jeff Fisher era compared to McVay era, and the receivers were not nearly as talented and as rounded as they are now. So again, that's why I can't really compare Goff and Sam Bradford, because it was two completely different times, even two completely different locations where they played. So yeah, there were a lot of drops too. I remember that. Have a great day. I have this growing feeling we will end up using Jacob Harris more than originally thought. I can see him in a Darren Waller type of role where we can play him out wide as well. Yeah, I could definitely see. I think Jacob Harris has a bright future with the Rams. He was not only used to be drafted for the future, but I think he can be in a lot of these sets now. I know that a lot of Rams fans are hyped on him and they're high on him. I want to see more of him in the OTAs, honestly, but they haven't really posted much of him because he's a rookie and he's supposed to play like a hybrid tight end wide receiver position. But I'm hyped to see what he can do. And again, like I said, when I was in Payo Time stream, somebody brought up a great point. He has the catching radius like Galladay, and I think his big frame helps him to be able to go up and get those jump balls too. Where am I from? I am from St. Louis. Which home game should I go to, guys? Bucks or Lions? My dad is letting me choose, but he wants to go to the Bucks game. That is one of the most difficult questions I can answer right now. They're both going to be good in their own way. I think the Bucks is going to be more of a shootout, but the Lions is fun because you're going to watch Goff. I'd say go to the Bucks because it's early. It's going to be nice and warm there. I think it's going to be almost... It could definitely be like another... Not quite up to the hype and what that game was like, but it could be like a Chiefs and Rams where it comes down to the wire, it's high scoring. So I say go to the Bucks game, but you can do whatever you want. But I say Bucks because just to be able to watch the Jared Goff Lions games, I'm pretty sure. But also one thing you can consider Hornhead Lions is that it's going to be a primetime game too. No wait, never mind. I thought the Bucks was going to be a primetime, but I think they're actually an early game. But yeah, I think you should definitely go to the Bucks one. Yeah, Jay agrees with me too. Did any of you see Stafford's fourth quarter comeback versus the Falcons last year when Gurley accidentally scored. Oh yeah, rip Gurley. I saw that one. I was actually watching it live because I don't know if it was going on before a Rams game, but I know I was bored like waiting for the game to start. I was watching that one. I was like, man, if only we could have Stafford. Like that's legitimately what I was thinking. If only we could have Stafford because he has some incredible throws in there, and I'm excited to see. Hopefully, we don't need a bunch of fourth quarter comebacks from him, but I'm excited to see that talent that he brings. Because no offense to Goff, but I feel like with Goff, whenever we needed a comeback, I wasn't too confident in him. But I know Stafford has proven. Lions fans have told me. Lions fans are saying that they're going to miss him a lot, so I'm hyped up for those comebacks too. But again, hopefully we don't have a ton of comebacks that we need to come back from for sure. Let's see. Dude, it was hilarious, totally not Jay. Just reading into these comments. Let's go. New offense will show McVay's potential at last. Yeah, and the crazy thing is we saw his potential with Goff. And again, I really don't want to sound like I'm just like ripping Goff or I'm a Goff hater because I don't like to sound like that. But when you're just taking a look at the numbers and what they can do, Stafford's definitely the better quarterback. But in those years where they went in the Super Bowl run, 2017, 2018, and McVay made Goff look like an absolute superstar elite quarterback. And yeah, that could be in part due to Todd Gurley and what he was able to bring with the play action and stuff like that, for sure. And he was able to be a receiving running back, stuff like that. I love that guy Todd Gurley. I wish he was still on our team and he was healthy. But anyway, I think that showing that McVay could do that, he didn't even really want Goff. He came into the situation with Goff already there. So yeah, I think McVay is really going to be shown. I think we have a real chance at the number 1 seed in the Super Bowl this year for sure. Let's see. Realistically, by the time you get to 15 wins, you already have home field advantage locked up, and you save that talent, not like when Miami had fewer games. Yeah, for sure. I agree with you too. I think that even if we have, let's say, 13, 14 wins, I think that's the number 1 seed. Yeah, we're going to have to be worried about the Bucks, but the Saints aren't that good anymore. Who knows where the Packers are going to be at? I think Bucks are, well, obviously we have some talent in our division, but I still think Bucks are our main competition. I think we can beat the Bucks early in our schedule because we play them, I think, in week 3. I'm pretty sure we play them pretty early though. And when you don't have the Bucks team has really good chemistry and has gelled a lot together for a whole season, almost like we had played them week 9 or week 10 last year, I think that playing them early, get it out of the way, that's going to help because when it comes down to the tiebreaker between us, we will have the head-to-head matchup won. So, yeah, I think we're definitely looking at a number 1 seed and possibly a Super Bowl with the Rams. I saw that Game Stafford was doing magic in Atlanta. Yeah, and he's been doing magic his whole career, and a lot of us just did not see it because he was with the Lions. But I do think a lot of us caught that Atlanta game, and a lot of it was like, oh, they didn't deserve to win because Gurley did this or that or whatever. But still, Stafford is amazing with comebacks. He works magic left and right, and again, he wasn't even being looked at because he wasn't on a team as good as Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs. Like, that's a big thing that you got to look at. Man, just breathe a little bit, huh? I'm going to go to watch the Bucks. Oh, yeah, that's a good game, too. I think that will be a good one. Hopefully, I believe it might be the game of the week because it's not a primetime, which I was surprised. Maybe it's because they were primetime last year. I'm not sure. But I was surprised when I saw it wasn't a primetime, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a game of the week. ESPN just announced that Julio Jones is going to the Seahawks. I don't know if you're actually telling me the truth. A lot of people like to do that and make me like flip out or whatever. Not sure if that's actually true, but if it is, dang it, I'm gonna be really mad. The only real threats in the NFC are the Bucks and maybe the Packers. Yeah, I'm not sure if Rodgers is gonna be playing there. If he isn't, I don't think that they're a threat. But I do think the real threats in the NFC also could be the 49ers. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I think Lance can be very good for that 49ers group. But it's just going to be crazy to see for sure. Cardinals actually have a chance this year after 4 or 5 straight years. Yeah, I think they have a good chance for sure. Hopefully their coaching does well enough because that roster has all the potential. Obviously, I don't want them to do really well because they're in the same division, but I wish the Cardinals luck. And I just hope for that roster alone, with how much they've built up, I hope that the coaching is good enough. And again, I don't want that to happen because that means it's more competition for us. But I hope that the Cardinals someday can win a Super Bowl. Now that Jameis Winston has had his vision corrected, people may be surprised what he does with the Saints. Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be interesting seeing him on the Saints. It's definitely going to be weird not seeing Drew Brees there after all that time that he was there. But, we'll see what happens with Winston. Saints are done. But an article does say that the Hawks are the favorites for getting him. Yeah, it's a crazy sweepstakes for Julio Jones for sure, but if the Seahawks get him, again, that's going to help DK Metcalf out so much because now you're not going to have Ramsey who always shut him down. You're going to have him on Julio all the time. So I would say good luck to Darius Williams or even Robert Rochelle if they put him on there, but I wouldn't see that happening for that because Darius Williams doesn't match up with size and height or physicality really. He plays differently. So again, if the Seahawks get that, that's going to make it just like we don't need any more superstars, please. What's up, Rutledge? You appreciate that you're a big fan. I'm from Brazil and a big Rams fan, and of course a fan of your work. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's always crazy to think that there are people from other countries that are watching my channel. Like, to think it goes out that far, and I just love to be a positive impact for people. So it's always crazy to see that. Thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate all the people that are here just supporting this channel. I'd be surprised if the Falcons trade within the NFC. I mean, that's a good point too. Although I don't like the Patriots, I think for many reasons that all Rams fans know because they beat the Rams in 2 Super Bowls, I think that would be the spot I would be happy you went to, or the Chargers maybe because it is the AFC, so we wouldn't have to play them much and you wouldn't be much of a threat. So that is a good point. It'd be weird if the Falcons traded within the NFC, but at the same time, I think they just want the most they can get out of an offer. So I think if an NFC team is offering more than an AFC team, I think you'll take the NFC one. I trade him outside of the conference. Yeah, I mean, again, it just depends. You could get more first rounders or more whatever a team's offering, and then being like a business decision, I would take that over that. But who's your favorite team's player that is not a star? Okay, so on the Rams, let me think. It's hard because I think of them all as like stars because I'm just a Rams fan. I think they're all stars. I think a guy like Jordan Fuller and Terrell Burgess. I think those guys, because Darius Williams is almost becoming a star. I could say him, but Terrell Burgess and Terrell Burgess and Jordan Fuller, I think are my non-star, like not too known around the world. That I think are just amazing, and I love their work. I can't wait to see what they do because if you guys remember, Terrell Burgess was out. I believe he injured himself against the Bears, and then he was out for the rest of the season. So I can't wait to see him back in there and see what happens when when they lost John Johnson. I don't think that's going to be a huge thing. It's going to be interesting to see how they play when they're flying solo without him. And yeah, I just can't wait to see this whole team next year. But I would say Fuller and Burgess for sure. So great question. Who is the best rookie that the Rams drafted this year? Again, this may sound weird to you guys, but I definitely think Chris Garrett has a shot because of what he brings. Again, he needs to add some of that run defending, I believe, into his game more. But I think that his pass rushing skills is what's going to really help on the opposite side of Floyd if they put him there. Because I just like to give Donald as much help as I can get with the pass rush, and I think that's what he does. I could also see a guy like Robert Rochelle or even Jacob Harris. And Tutu Atwell could be argued. I don't know if I can narrow it down to one. I think they drafted actually very well. My first raw reactions were very negative, but when I saw what they were actually doing and what they were saying, I'm a fan of this draft for sure. But I do like how they also drafted for the special teams because they needed a lot of help for special teams after last year. I expect to see Sebastian Joseph Day step it up this year. I'm going to pay attention to him a lot when the defense is on the field. Oh yeah, and I think he's been in a spot where he's not really the starter in that position or in there too much for too long. And I think after all that development, we already saw some flashes. He had his best year last year. I think I'm excited to see what he does there. Definitely going to miss Michael Brockers because he just brought that leadership to the team and that continuity that really helped. But definitely look out for Sebastian Joseph Day. I think he can have a good season. Let's see. What's up, Will? Taylor Rapp is not a rookie anymore, but he was my favorite. Oh yeah? Hopefully he steps it up because in my opinion he didn't have so much of a jump. I know he missed a lot of time last year, but he didn't have much of a jump from year 1 to year 2 and year 2 to year 3 in my opinion. But I think it's like you can't use year 3 as an example in my opinion just because he was riddled with injuries and he was out. I'm not sure. You guys can let me know. I'm not sure why. For the longest time, he was just injured. Like, he was out of the game for a while, but I don't know what he was injured with. So, love the Bobby Brown pick. My favorite pick this year. Like Harris pick as well. Oh, yeah, Bobby Brown, I think he's going to be really well for the future. He's still a little bit raw, but after what I saw what he can do, I think I'm excited for that too. And there's so many different picks that I'm a fan of that the Rams did, but there's just like so many different types that I'm a fan of, so it's hard to narrow it down. But Bobby Brown, what a pick. I think that was good. Yeah, Nolan, Garrett, and Rochelle, I loved those picks. Who finishes as the overall higher rated group, offenses or defenses? For the Rams, I say, oh, you said offense or defense. For the Rams, I say offense, and I think it's just because of Stafford is not being talked about enough with how much he brings to the table. And you have a stacked wide receiver group with the speedy guys like this video is about, Desean Jackson and Tutu Atwell, which I talked about at the start. You got so many different types of guys who can do so many different things. Stafford, who really made it work with whatever receiver he had in Detroit, even if they're practice squad guys after Calvin Johnson left. So seeing him with really talented guys, I think is going to help too. And then Cam Akers, I really expect a lot out of Cam Akers this year. I was high on him when they drafted him. A lot of people didn't like the pick, but I loved Cam Akers, and I think he's going to step it up. And I just think this offense is going to be back to putting up 30 points a game, 32 points a game like they were 2017, 2018. So I think the offense, but only because of how elite they are, and I'm not trying to downgrade the defense, I don't think they're going to do bad. I think they're going to definitely be top 10. And Morris, I think, is going to do really well with us too. Losing Staley could be a big difference. Don't have a ton of faith in Morris. Oh yeah, I think you should, Johnny. I think that you should definitely have some faith in what Morris brings to the table because I mentioned this a lot. When you like guys like Aubrey Pleasant, who's been there for a while, the cornerback coach who's now with the Lions, and when you let guys who have been in the building for a while on the defense, who's been passed up a few times, and you let them go, that shows that you're whoever's making that decision to like Sean McVay or Les Snead, that shows that you have extreme confidence in the guy. And I think with McVay, it could have been just because he knew the guy, but he also saw what he did with defenses. I think McVay has a lot of faith in what Raheem Morris can do, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. And again, any defensive coordinator who steps into a defense with Donald Ramsey and Williams and Floyd, they're going to be helped out a lot because those are studs and they're going to help. So I wouldn't want you to worry about that. I think we're going to be fine. I'm not thinking we're going to be number 1 again because it's hard to repeat, especially losing John Johnson. But don't be worried. I think we're gonna be fine. And even if so, our offense is gonna be fine too. So we're gonna be winning games a lot because of our offense and our offense and defense combined, which is scary to think about for other teams because a good defense with an amazing offense, that's just a winning combo. I like Funk as well. I think due to his injuries, he felt a special team starter right off the bat. Oh yeah, I think Funk, that was a good pick. At first I was like, why did we pick up a running back? We already have, we have Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, Raymond Calais, and then, we've had guys, we're deep at running back. It seems like the Rams always draft a running back. That's what I was initially thinking. And then what I saw I could contribute to the special teams, I was like, okay, we needed to improve special teams. That's what we're doing. So yeah, the Funk pick was good too. Love the channel, bro. Rams Nation, stand up. Thank you, Daniel. And what's up, W? I always appreciate you guys leaving those positive messages in the comments, whether it be on the replay or on my videos that aren't live streams or in the live chat. I really appreciate you guys so much. It's just fun to do this with you guys and interact with you guys. So awesome. We drafted Tutu and got Tutu last season. The roster is now complete. Yeah, I would definitely say let's see how this linebacking group performs. I think our linebackers, again, when you have talent all around the board on defense, there's not going to be a ton of pressure on them. So even if there is some deficiencies there, you will not see it all the time. So I think that that's good too. And I think adding speed to the wide receiver group for sure. I think that helps us be more complete too. I hope Matthew Stafford doesn't get injured, but we have John Wolford. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think Stafford's going to get injured. I think our line is at least decent enough to protect the man. Like, Stafford also, not a lot of people know this, but he's actually kind of mobile for especially being his age and not really known to being mobile. He actually is pretty mobile and moving around in the pocket and shuffling around in the pocket. So that's going to help to keep him up. But also, another thing you got to keep in mind is he I think we not only are going to be passing a lot, but I think we're going to see a lot of the run game, which is going to help because they're going to think of that Cam Akers is going to have the ball, or it's a jet sweep to Atwell or Woods or Jackson or whoever it may be. And then they'll help. I think that there's going to be enough where McVay's going to scheme enough. I think our offensive line is good enough in the first place, but there's also going to be a lot of different things going around, motions, things like that, where it's not always going to be on Stafford because Stafford has a running game now, he's got a defense now, he's got an offensive line now, and he's got good receivers, so even if pressure's coming in right away, he can release it fast. That's one thing I noticed too, guys. He's got a quick release, and our receivers can get open fast. And we have so many different types of receivers, as I talked about earlier, and I think Stafford's going to be just fine, but as you said, we got Wolford. I think, honestly, Wolford is the best backup in the league at quarterback. He works his tail off. Like, at backup position, when you know you're behind Stafford, yeah, you could know that maybe he's going to get injured, but he's working like he's a starter. He works harder than a starter, and I think that's very admirable, and I was excited when Goff went out with that injury. I was excited to see what Wolford could do. At first, I was panicked because I didn't know the guy, like probably most of you did not know the guy either, and then when I saw what his work ethic was, and he's just very calm, and I think also having a guy who can run around in a Rams uniform, we don't see many guys who are versatile and able to run around like that. So Wolford, I'm excited to see in the preseason because again, going to that Rams Broncos game week 3, I'm glad I'm going to be able to see the Wolf in person because hopefully I can get his autograph too. I think he's again the best backup in the league. I love the way he works. Even if he's not the starter, he works like a starter. And so, yeah, I wouldn't worry about Stafford going down. But again, if he does, hey, we got the Wolf. Let's see. Who do you think has the most potential out of our young front? Ooh, so, yeah, that means you exclude AD. I think Bobby Brown, for sure, could be one of those. I still think Sebastian Joseph Day is a young guy. I throw him in there because he's been able to develop in different defenses. He's with Donald. He's learned behind him for a while. For sure, I think that it could be a guy like Bobby Brown. I could see Sebastian Joseph Day. And I think Ernest Brown, he is still a little bit more raw. He still has to learn a little bit more and get acclimated to the NFL more. He was definitely more of a raw player when they drafted him. He's more for the future. So I say Bobby Brown or Sebastian Joseph Day. Great question, though. Need Obo Lewis to stay healthy. Yeah, Lewis has got a ton of talent for sure. I've seen those flashes, and I think we all have. He didn't have a ton of them because of the injuries, but we saw a lot of flashes last year, and I think if he can just stay on the field, that's the key word, stay on the field. If he stays on the field, I think he can really contribute. I think he's a good pass rusher. He's very stout in the run game. If that knee doesn't keep bothering him, I want to see more of him because I think he's better than Ogbo for sure, and it's just about being available to play, and that's one of the most important abilities is you have to be able to stay on the field. So I hope he can stay on the field because I see a lot of potential in him. And again, no, I don't want to say anything bad about the way Ogbo plays, but I think that Terrell Lewis plays better. He's better pass rusher and he's more of a complete player. And it's just about staying on the field, honestly, at the end of the day. Besides speed, we got guys that can win on contested passes, for sure, yeah. And Jacob Harris is one of those guys that we just drafted. He can win on those contested passes. We saw Coop, I think you guys remember this, Cooper Cup, and that, I think it was I can't remember if it was the divisional round. yeah, it was a divisional round against the Seahawks when Goff threw it up and he just moshed Jamal Adams into the other defender, like just snatched it out of the air, even though it was underthrown. He can pluck it out of there. Woods can pluck it out of there. I think the thing that people don't see a lot is that we didn't have a quarterback that would take those shots all the time and who would put it up because they trust the guy who's going to come down with it. We're going to see more of that, and we're going to see those guys who really can be special with those jump ball things and who can go up and get it. So completely agree with you. And the speed added is just going to help our offense in the long run. My opinion, let Cam Akers put in the work as in every down back, and the rest of the offense will open up to score. I completely agree with you. I think McVay, I think one of his flaws that he had when Goff was here was even when they were a successful passing team, when the passing game was working, that's pretty much all he would call. He was just sticking to that, and I think there is some risk to that. I think you gotta be able to still run the ball, and I think with Akers, again, I am very high on that guy. I was high when they drafted him. I think with Akers, you do give it, he's going to be the every down back. No more three-headed monster like they did. We know who the true guy is. And even last year when, this is just a quick side note, but last year when he was not really the starter, when they would put him in, like even against Miami, when they put him in on that screen, he got it, and then he made like 3 guys missed. And then I was just like, man, why'd you just take him out right after he did that? So yeah, Akers, I definitely think he's going to open up the offense. He's going to open up that play action. There's going to be so many different looks, so many different schemes. But what I have learned from McVay is that he was saying he wants to kind of adopt also additionally to what he has, what Stafford's done in his career with the Lions. And so we're going to see a lot of the shotgun too and different things that he did. But yeah, I think since Stafford hasn't had that running game that the Rams bring him, they're going to be running the ball a lot, and I think that's going to help set up the pass too. So completely agree with you. Do you think Desean Jackson or Van Jefferson will get more snaps? Van Jefferson all day for sure. Jefferson is going to be the number 3 receiver. Jackson and Tutu are going to be subbing in different packages. Yeah, they're going to get some snaps in there, but I think Van Jefferson had his year to learn. McVay's he's going to set him loose this year to be the number 3 guy, and I think he's for sure capable to being that number 3 guy. Like all day, I Van Jefferson. That's an easy question, so thank you for that question. Do you see Jacob Harris having any offensive role this season? Will he pass Hopkins on the depth chart? Hard to tell because Hopkins was inactive most of last season. Oh yeah, 100%. He's going to be in a few different packages. I think he's going to be used as a decoy in some places, but there's going to be some plays for really all these receivers, but that specialize what he can do and what he is good at doing. There are definitely going to be packages. That's an amazing question. There are definitely going to be packages that involve him. I'm definitely going to see him in there, but I think what you guys have to expect is, you know what Van Jefferson was. He was picked with our first pick last year, and you have to know Jefferson did not get that many snaps. I think that's the same with Jacob Harris, and including this depth at this receiver and tight end group. But I do think that he will be like the second tight end if he blocks well, because the second tight end is really good for the blocking, and I think he can block well. But yeah, he's going to have that role, and I think he could have the chance to pass up Bryson Hopkins. But I think Bryson Hopkins also, to let you guys know, Bryson Hopkins is very good, and I want to see him too. But I think Jacob Harris, yeah, he's gonna have a role in there. Cup cooked blitz boy. Not a Rams question, but what y'all think about Brendan Jacobs trying to play D-end? Yeah, I know this. Obviously, I'm a Rams fan. I believe he played running back with the Giants back in the day. I'm always a fan for players coming back just in general to play their position. And with what Tebow did, where he's going to be playing tight end, I think that's just going to be fun to watch. Like, I just love to see people come back and trying something different. You never know if you're a beast at something else. And so I hope he gets in and just at least tries it. Not sure how well or like how good or bad it'll go for, but I think he could definitely also be in offensive packages. Who do you think the Rams will play slot corner this year? Robert Rochelle, David Long, your take. Great question there. I say Robert Rochelle because they drafted him pretty high, to be honest. At that pick, I think they drafted Rochelle because they knew the sheer talent, and the Rams were surprised that he fell to him. That's what they said in the draft video. They seem to be very high on him, and so am I. I think he is more of a complete guy. For sure. David Long doesn't always wrap up the best. Maybe he just needs more snaps, but my first impressions on David Long, he can do man coverage pretty well. The zone is iffy, and his tackling, it could be better for sure. And Robert Rochelle brings that hit power that you're gonna need. He can knock the balls loose. He's physical like a Ramsey. He's not like Ramsey's size, or he doesn't play physical with the covering, but the tackling, he's better in that aspect. I see Robert Rochelle playing that third one for sure. And I love that question because I'm very high on Rochelle, and so I appreciate that question. I think the doubt about Morris is because of the Falcons' defense last season. Dan Quinn was the defensive play caller. Unit Morris stepped up as the interim coach. Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people are unfair with some assessments on what players can do and what coaches can do, because Raheem Morris did amazing things with Tampa Bay's defense. He kind of originated the Tampa 2 and made it well and succeed well. And again, he was picked over a bunch of the in-house guys that we had that have been waiting for that position for a while. So I trust McVay. I trust the front office. And I completely agree. And I never like to see that when fans are basing off what's happened in past teams that were worse and that were completely different situations. I think a good example of this is when people compare Goff and Stafford. I think in the live stream yesterday, somebody said, okay, Goff is better than Stafford because Goff's won more playoff games. So what, though? Goff was on a better team. He was on a better offense, better defense. He had more weapons, a better coaching staff. I can definitely tell you that. And then with Stafford, he's always trying to come back. He's still putting up amazing numbers. He was on a worse team. He had worse coaches, a worse defense, rarely had a 1,000-yard rusher. And so I think those comparisons are unfair when they say, like, well, Goff won this many playoff games, Stafford hasn't won any. I'm like, yeah, so what, though? He was on a team who wasn't good. He was there for so long because he was loyal to his team. So I always don't like to see that when compare it to those types of things. But I agree with you. I believe Nolan says that. I think Morris is going to be good, and I think it's unfair to say a lot of people base what he did with the Falcons, but he was an interim head coach, and he ended up he specializes in the defense. I think he's going to do fine here. See ya, Jared. Are you sick? We weren't able to get Eskridge. Lol, literally one pick away, and I love Robert Rochelle after looking at his tape and his measurements are sick. Yeah, I wanted Eskridge a lot because he brought more of the size, and he did remind me a lot of a Tyreek Hill. So if I had the choice, I would pick him over Tutu. But I think I'm just happy that the Rams got a speed guy because the speed is what we need, and we got two speedsters. We got Desean Jackson and Tutu. So yeah, I was mad. I was like, really, Seahawks? Did you really just pick the guy because we were going to pick him? Like, multiple reports were saying we met with him multiple times. So I was like, are you really just trying to spite us, Seahawks? But yeah, if I had the choice, I would definitely pick Eskridge. But I'm happy with Atwell. I'm happy we just got speed because we need that. And whatever guy we get, I don't care if he's not as good as another guy in college who was fast. I just want fast players. That's it. Because we needed that. Let's see. Saw something that said the Seahawks might be in the running for Julio Jones. If this happened, would they have to give up Lockett or Metcalf, or would they somehow be able to keep them both? Yeah, I don't want Julio Jones going to the NFC West. I pray it won't happen because the Rams are out of the chase. I'm glad they're out of the chase. As far as the trade package, I know that the Falcons were mentioning they wanted a first-round pick or so. I don't know, actually, if the Seahawks have any first-round picks for the upcoming seasons or this. I don't know what that situation is because I don't really track their trades. I think they could give up 2 first-rounders and, like, a second and somebody on that team. I think that it's definitely possible for them to keep Metcalf and Lockett. I don't think they're going to give them up because, yeah, you get Julio, but you kind of lose the biggest parts of your receiving corps. So I think it's definitely possible where they give up picks and some other guy in their team. But I think, if they traded for him, they wouldn't need to give up Metcalf or Lockett. I definitely felt like Seattle did that on purpose. Yeah, with that Eskridge pick, they definitely could have. But they did also need, like, more speed. I'm not sure. Do you get a chance to see Coop's one-handed snag in the end zone at practice? An absolute dime from Stafford rolling to his left. I'm expecting 1,200 yards and a grip of TDs from Cooper this year. Yeah, I saw that. I've been raving about it. And again, for some of these people who have already heard this the whole stream, I'm sorry that you have to hear this again. Whenever you're hyped in OTAs and excited in OTAs about your team, and you just want the season to start already, and you're just like over the moon about your team, that tells you that you got a good team. And that's how I felt with this clip too. I was like, Stafford put it up there. He first is aggressive, more aggressive than Goff, and he puts it in the place where only Cup could get it, and he trusted Cup, and he's on the move. So everything about that clip typed me up, and yes, I did see it. And I may say that I replayed it like 10 times. Rams lost the Seahawks don't have a first round in the next draft because of the Jamal Adams trade. Oh yeah, thank you, Will. I was wondering, I feel like they don't have one, but I'm not sure because the Seahawks don't always make trades, but Julio to the Titans. Oh, we got a Titans fan in here too. Thank you for stopping in, Billy. Yeah, I would be happy if the Titans got Julio because first off, he's out of the NFC. He's not in the NFC West. I think I would be happy if he went to your Titans too because the Titans need that guy. And John Brown obviously wants that guy. I saw the video he made recruiting him. And helping your passing game out with Julio, John Brown, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, you also got Josh Reynolds, one of our guys. And then you have Derrick Henry. And then Tannehill's a really good game manager. He plays well. And I think he's an underrated quarterback for sure. So I'd be hyped if he went to the Titans, honestly, because it would help the team out. I always kind of liked the Titans for some reason, and he would be out of our conference, so I'd be happy with that. And sorry to say this. Oh, what's good? What's good, Jay in the Bay? Thank you for stopping in. I was actually just going to say, as long as he's not going to the NFC West, Julio, as long as he's not going to the 49ers or the Seahawks, Jay in the Bay, I feel like the Seahawks and the 49ers are those teams that are sneaky, and they would sneakily go in and pick up Julio. I just feel like that's such a Niners or Seahawks move where they would be the one to pull it off. And of course, because this NFC West seems to be a team who pulls off crazy trades and just has amazing talent, that would happen. I could definitely see Julio going to your Niners or going to the Seahawks. So what's good, Jay in the Bay? If any of you guys are NFC West fans or just Rams fans, definitely subscribe to Jay in the Bay. He's a 49ers fan, but he keeps it respectful. He's got the great energy. I was on a stream earlier today. I just love that guy's energy. And again, I love the fans that are respectful and don't just like smash things in your face. Like you lost to us twice, so respectful guy, and he brings that energy every stream. So definitely sub to him, even if you aren't a Rams fan. I have to say I like to watch this stuff all the time because it's cool to watch the NFC West stuff. Just even if you're just a fan of the one team, like if you're a fan of just the Seahawks, just the 49ers, just the Cardinals, just a Rams fan, I love to get the other perspectives on what people think about their teams. I don't care if they're biased, I don't care if they're not. It's just always fun to take a look. But the main thing that turns me off and really makes me mad is when the people are just biased and going after your team like they're a piece of garbage or whatever. And that's not what Jay in the Bay does. So long way around about to say that. Make sure to subscribe to him. I believe with better QB. Oh, let's see. Titans fan from LA, and I'll see you on Sunday Night Football at SoFi Stadium. Yeah, are you gonna be at the stadium? Are you gonna be at the stadium, Billy? Because that's gonna be a good one. And I have to say I'm afraid of Henry, but at the same time we got Donald and we got Ramsey. But still, Henry is a freak of nature. Like he can just bowl over anybody. So yeah, that's gonna be a fun one to watch. I'll see you then. And thanks for keeping it respectful too. I believe with better QB play this season, we're going to see so many more points. Our defense just needs to be above average and will be in the Super Bowl run. Good riddance, Goff. Yeah, completely agree with you. I also think, just in case you're worried about the defense, I still think it's top 10. We got playmakers left and right. The linebackers are the only questions, but again, the linebackers were questions all last year, and we made it work. It was still disguised because we have great players like Donald, who's constantly putting pressure on Ramsey, who's locking down a guy, whoever the guy he's on, and Williams, who racks up those picks. And I think we're still going to be top 10, and we for sure will be putting up points. So hopefully we can get Julio. If not, hopefully he goes to an AFC team. I'm right with you, Jay in the Bay. Obviously, I don't want him going to your 49ers. I would be happy for you but it would kind of make my heart stop because we would have to play them all the time. So yeah, good luck to getting him. I hope he doesn't, but if they do, I'll definitely be thinking of you when that happens. I agree. It's fun to hear from NFC West teams' perspectives. Yeah, Jay and the Bay. I think again, as long as they're respected and as long as they're honest, and I think it's just fun when you get to hear other people's perspectives on your team, even if they're in the division, because it's cool to see like, okay, where am I at? As long as they aren't biased, where am I at as a fan? Am I way too optimistic, or am I right with them? And I think I'm right with the rest of them. I could be a little over optimistic, but hey, I just love the Rams. I love the NFC West. Well, can't say I love the NFC West because they're so tough to play. I already bought my tickets. Ooh, yeah. So you're gonna be there, Billy. I wish I could be there. I'm not gonna be able to go to SoFi Stadium this year, but I want to go there sometime, and that game's gonna be fun. It's gonna be tough to see who comes out on top because they're both really good teams and they're both really different on offense. So I hope it's a good time for you, but obviously for me, hopefully the Rams win. But if the Titans win, I'll definitely be thinking of you celebrating there at SoFi. Rutledge, you're going to Tampa Bay. Yeah, that's gonna be a good one as well for sure. Man, we've been streaming for a while. I'm gonna get off pretty soon, but thank you guys for having a good stream here. Seahawks gave up first rounders for Adams, and nobody said they sold away their future. Yeah, that's what I hear all the time being a Rams fan. They're like, oh, they sold away their future, or they're giving up way too much, or man, this is gonna come back to bite them. But nope, not with the Seahawks. It's the same thing like when we beat the Seahawks. Oh, it's always like on those like Skip Bayless and stuff like that. They're always talking about what the Seahawks like. Oh, this was just an off game for the Seahawks. This was just, but they never give us credit. So kind of used to it by now. The only thing I'm worried about is your defense. Oh yeah, you're not worried about our offense because I think we're threatening enough to be able to put up a lot of points. You may see by that time. I'm not biased. I think this offense can be really good, but our defense, obviously, I'm worried about Henry. You're worried about the defense. This is gonna be a good matchup. Like Payo Time says, we're a dysfunctional NFC West family. That's the best way to put it. I love the way Payo Time compares things to what the NFC West is like or things. He's such a positive guy too, and it's fun to watch that. But that's a great way of putting it. Dysfunctional family. But I think the guys who are truly respectful, like Jay in the Bay for sure, you're one of them. And NFC West, Payo Time. Obviously, he's a Rams fan too. And then the AC Sports fan, he's a good one too. And as long as you're keeping it respectful, and I think if the energy's up there and you're giving your honest opinions, I'm all for that for sure. That's facts. Whenever we beat the Seahawks, the story is always about how the Seahawks lost and not about how we won. And yeah, I'm right with you, Will. That's what I see all the time where I'm like, come on, can you just give us a little bit of respect? And I'm sure if we win the Super Bowl, which I think that we may have a really good shot, if we win the Super Bowl, it's going to be like, oh man, it's whatever these guys did wrong, or it's what were the Chiefs thinking last night? We will see what happens, but yeah, I don't think we get that much credit for whenever we beat teams. It's always about what they did wrong, so right with you. Right, ESPN had multiple segments about the Seattle loss. Shaking my head. Yeah, I'm right with you, man. We need more credit, but sometimes it's good to fly under the radar, especially like with our receiving group, with PFF ranking them like with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, they ranked them like 29th and 30th. Sometimes that's the best way to be when a team's not expecting or people are not expecting you because you're an underrated team or underrated receiving group or whatever. That's sometimes the best way to do it because then you can surprise them and shock the world. And sometimes that's the best way to do it. Just be underrated, be under the radar, and shock the world. So I guess there is some good things about that too. Last year reminded me of 2013 Rams defense when we had Quinn and young Donald. They were beasts. Yeah, I remember when Quinn was doing so well. Actually, I'm sure all of you guys who are Rams fans know this. Robert Quinn actually helped Aaron Donald out a lot. He helped with that jump step and that jab step, and he helped Donald progress a lot, which is, I'm always very thankful for Quinn, and I'm sure Donald is too. I'm sure Donald eventually would have figured some things out because that guy's just crazy good, but I'm always thankful for that, and that was a crazy era. And when my dad's a Bears fan, when they got Robert Quinn, I was just like, man, you're getting such a good guy because he disappeared like with the Cowboys. I honestly didn't know he was with the Cowboys for a while, So I thought he was still up to par to what he was doing with the Rams. I was like, man, you're getting such a good player in Robert Quinn, because he was obviously a Bears fan, like I mentioned. And then my dad was like, when we got Floyd, he's like, yeah, I'm not sure you're going to see much from him. He only has this and that and whatever. And it's funny, it ended up being the flip side. We got such a good player on our team. I think he just fits really well. And then my dad got a player who didn't do much. So it's kind of funny the way that ended up working out. Yeah, let old media sleep. They'll jump on the bandwagon later. Yeah, exactly. Let's just get the bandwagon fans in there. Again, it's fun to fly under the radar and shock the world, especially if you're talking to if your friends about it, like, oh, my Rams are going to do this or that or whatever it may be, and then they're like, no, that's not happening, and then they get shocked. They're like, it's only because of this. Like, they just get shocked. It's always fun to see that, too. I will mostly be looking the protection of the offense and how quickly they can adjust. Oh yeah, Old Man Ghost, I agree with you. I think we're going to be doing good with the protection, and I think this offense has so many different players, with Woods and Cup being there for so long and having some veterans on there, and anytime we have McVay on the offensive play caller, I think we're going to have an exciting offense. So yeah, Quinn is a dog. Just want to say, man, keep up the grind. I can see your analysis improving. Thank you, Will. I look back on some of my older videos from last year when I was just kind of like an all-around NFL channel talking about teams. I made a video like the rise and fall of the Patriots or something like that. I watched it and I was like, oh man, I was bad at this. Like, all I had to say is like, now with Tom Brady leaving, this team is this team's gonna be falling down to the low. Thank you guys for watching. Like, that was my analysis before. So I always appreciate the comments about me getting better, because I always want to try to get better, and I did not realize how bad I was at the analysis before. But hey, we got to grow. We know what we want to say, but it can be hard to project it sometimes, especially when you're really optimistic. I want to make a Rams video. It's hilarious how every sports pundit says that we were in a win now mode, and it's Super Bowl or bust. We win a lot of games and draft develop really well. Why would anybody want to be in a win now or want to be in a win later mode? That is like one of the best quotes, and I think that might be something that I save and I might quote later on you, because who would want to be a win later team? Like, I think that's one of the best things. I'm going to be wrapping up the stream, guys. Thank you so much for stopping in, but that's one of the things that I value about this Les Snead and Sean McVay combo and duo, and even Stan Kroenke. It's just they want to win now. They go all aggressive in. They also draft really well. And I think when you have guys who are willing to say, hey, I trust you, you can go after and get that guy. I don't care if it costs us this much or whatever. If you're in a win now mode and you want to win now, why would you want to push off the winning? Why would you want to do that? So that's a great quote. I've always liked that about our organization, how we're aggressive and we do want to win. We do want to win now, even if we get criticized for some of the trades or the cuts like Todd Gurley, or the trades like Brandon Cooks. I think knowing when you gotta win now, I still don't really understand the Brandon Cooks trade. It could have been because of his injuries he was having, but still, having the ability to know what guys you want to add and stuff like that, and being aggressive about it, I'm always appreciative for that. Thanks, Shop by Nolan. Hit that like button. Yeah, for sure. This is actually, I think, one of the most liked streams that I've had, like, live. It's right now we're sitting at 42 likes, and that's just mind-blowing. You guys have been amazing tonight. You've been positive. I love doing these streams with you guys, and I like to I'm trying to keep them consistent now, because I like to interact with you guys, and I'm planning on doing one tomorrow, too. 43 likes now. But yeah, I love interacting with you guys. I think tomorrow I'm going to be doing a stream on Cam Akers or something like that. You guys can request what you want, but again, thank you all for just, like, probably one of my best streams. I really appreciate you all. We have 44 likes now on here. That was a 98-minute stream, and yeah, we're going to get another stream tomorrow, and it's probably just because you guys are one of the best fan bases in communities. I love to chat with you guys. As always, horns up, and God bless you guys.